Resident Evil 4, both the original and the remake are almost perfect. So let's start with the original. So Resident Evil 4 is a really good game, but with one gloomy thing that makes half the game insufferable. Ashley. Need I say more? Well, no. But, the worst missions of games are find and rescue. So let's make basically a whole game about that. Now, The Last of Us does this right, because sometimes you have to save Ellie, but, Ashley can't even use a knife unless she's in Saddler's control. Now, I get she's the president's kid and would normally have guards, but still, no training? Great. She's very capable of holding herself together. And that's all that's really bad about the 2005 Resident Evil 4, just the concept. But the remake? Well, let's get started. So we have Ashley, but much worse. Like, she gets grabbed so much more often, and unlike the 2005 Resident Evil 4, you have to spend more time with her, so great. So, a lot about Ashley would be repeated, but let's just say no matter how hard you try, she's so much more infuriating. But let's move on. So boss fights get changed a lot. Now I think the remake does bosses better, but not good enough to remove a whole boss fight. U3 is removed from the remake, so the DLC with Ada, which used to be free, and was more lore accurate to the game, but in the remake removes whole plot lines from it and has the gall to make it $10. Why did I put gall in my script? I never say that. Plus, they put U3 in a basically free DLC from 2005 that is now a paid DLC, so they basically put a boss in the main game behind a paywall, and Leon never flirts. I know, so groundbreaking. But still, on topic, there's so much dialogue that has changed. I mean, I get some, but like, how could they get rid of no thanks, bro? But like, the end dialogue was changed, I get it. Here's the 2005.
So, after you take me back to my place, how about we do some, overtime?
And here's the remake.
Don't mention it.
You know, I could put in a word with my dad. Have you assigned to my detail, if you're interested.
You don't.
Which 2005 was, not too bad with that dialogue, but, I guess 2005 was a different time. But I still find it funny that Leon still rejects Ashley in both games, so I think Leon just hates Ashley just like us. But because in the 2005, was a lot different, they have also changed a bunch of stuff. So let's talk about some other stuff they changed that wasn't because of 2005 humor. So let's start with one of the worst things that the remake ever did. So I already talked about how in 2005 the DLC was free with the whole game and you just bought it, but in the remake the DLC is $10, and plus after only a few weeks they added microtransactions. For one gun upgrade ticket and weird costumes that aren't even that good for $20, that most of them were also free in the 2005 game. So in the remake, the merchant gives you upgrade tickets to make your guns better. But you know why add more time to the game when you could just fork over $3 to Capcom? AKA Capcom's trying to prey on people who don't have time to play more than once and upgrade all your guns. So, it's funny to see weird costumes that don't match the cutscenes, but not when you spend $20 on them. Or, for half of the game price, they should remake the cutscenes, kind of like how The Last of Us did. I know I'm talking about The Last of Us a lot in this video. But anyway, back to Resident Evil. Nope, the weird looking stuff for $20. This is probably what Capcom must have been thinking.
'Cause at least I got the bag though.
Now, let's get talking about gameplay. So, you might say that it may be realistic that every time Leon gets hit, he stops moving for a second. But say you're at the starting village and one basic enemy can hit you, but then a different one also hits you, so you're almost dead, and then here comes this guy to finish the job. Now, another thing that makes this game a lot harder for no reason is, so in Resident Evil 4 2005, if you headshot an enemy, that would stun them for at least a second. But in the remake, headshotting an enemy could also stun them for a second, but it's a chance system. So if they stun, sure, Leon can do kicks, but it's not balanced, not eye for an eye. It's one eye for two eyes in this weird eye metaphor. Now, sure, you might say it's not that bad, but easy or normal, but hardcore professional, you need a way to get out of a bunch of enemies without just using all your flashes. But, why do that when it could be a chance system that makes it a lot harder to stay alive? And another thing that makes this a lot worse is Mercenaries, introduced in the 2005 game, is made a lot more luck-based than the 2005. Not to say it's all luck-based, but it's definitely a lot more luck-based with the stunning chance in the remake than the 2005. So, yeah. So, what else? What else is bad about this game? Well, we also have the knife now breaks, and the merchant no longer gives you ammo when you buy a gun upgrade capacity. But that's not too bad, it's just a little extra work for no reason. But on to Sadler. In the 2005 game, we get to talk to Sadler in some cutscenes, so you get to know him a lot sooner, letting him flesh out. But in the remake, you meet Sadler in chapter 15, and by then you only have 30 to 45 minutes left of the game. Plus Sadler is in only 2 minutes of those. So in the 2005 game, Sadler has about 26 minutes of cutscenes, including killing Louise, radio, stuff like that. But in the remake, he only has 15, and he's not seen on the radio at all. Now, it might not sound like a lot, but Sadler is shown in the game a lot early in 2005, giving him, like I said before, a lot more time to flesh out. But in the remake, he has no time to flesh out, so he's basically not even that good of a villain, because you have no clue of his motives or why he wants to do this, at least not as good as you had in the 2005 game. So, to summarize, the Resident Evil 4 remake enemies are so unpredictable it's annoying, cutscene gets changed a lot, Sadler's not given any time to flesh out, oh, and the worst, microtransactions, that Capcom can't seem to get their grubby little hands off. So I hope you enjoyed this video, sorry for the long wait, I was working on another video, but then I had to change it a lot. Yay. But make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on the flip side.